Welcome back, everyone. It's nice to see you here tonight. Just sharing some news and connecting our community. We had an all-day Chinrazi sit today with Lama Michael, with, I don't know, maybe 40 people throughout the day, and a wonderful discussion. If you have any time to listen to that on KCC YouTube later in the week. Quite a good set of questions around ultimate truth and relative truth. So now I know I'm totally confused. It's quite clear. So looking at the cozy little group here, it seems like everybody has been here many, many times. So I'm not going to do much Shamata guidance. Rather, get to the business of it, so to speak. One thing that became quite clear from the discussion is that without some pretty consistent practice, we're not going to go very far. Of course, it feels like an of course, but some of the questions today were kind of like, why am I not seeing some results? And we all have that question, but it's not the most fruitful question. Maybe something more fruitful is, what's keeping me from practicing consistently? Because it's quite clear from experience, our experience and our study, that it's practice that leads to the results, and that we cannot predict the results at all. But we can practice. So when we begin looking at calm abiding, we can remember that each moment is fresh. Every thought, though it may seem a repetitive thought, it's fresh. And as we rest in the present and notice the present, and remember the past is 100% gone, definitely not worth mulling over again and again, since it's gone, gone, gone. The future has not yet occurred. So all of our planning, as we often can see, we make a plan that's not, and then that is not what happens. Something happens, but often not our plan, certainly not exactly the way we imagined it. So we're in this moment, which is already gone. And in each moment, we can choose what we do with our mind. Even we have what someone said this week in an interview, a tsunami of thoughts and emotions, thus almost saying, I have no control at all over it, at all of it. But that's a story. We can always do something. Even we can label it a tsunami. And that starts to change it somehow, change the experience. So we'll do a couple 15-minute sessions, 10 to 15, and I'll ring the small gong so we can have a stretch and a pushing of the recharge button. Of course, because we're Mahayana practitioners. I say of course, but I certainly don't have a grasp of it the way I hope to. We're here to come to know our own suffering deeply, to understand it, to understand how did it come about, the causes of it, to really know them, to end them, to practice the path so that we uncover our already existent Buddha nature, which has never ever disappeared, because it cannot do that. It's never diminished. It's simply covered over by habits of ignorance, and based on that ignorance, habits of attachment, habits of aversion. And that ignorance and those habits are actually no match for our Buddha nature. Because the Buddha nature is vast, compassionate, spontaneous wisdom. And those habits are false thoughts. So we can be very uplifted by that, encouraged by it. So in order to even begin to see that or experience it, we need a calm mind, a clear mind. We need to get in touch with our clarity and awareness. Thus we do our Shamata. And we always put it in the context of refuge and bodhicitta. As I've shared before, I like to think sometimes of someone very specific that I'm here for. So maybe you might consider your father on your right, your father of this life. No matter what your difficulties or joys are with that one, still, he gave you this life. Your mother on your left, siblings, family, partners, children, all around. And those who you find difficult right in front of you, closer to the Buddha than you are. And then we go from there to imagining, because it's actually true. We say we imagine, I find that funny, to realizing that we are in fact surrounded by 7.5 billion other humans, probably closer to 8 billion by now. Countless animals, birds, insects, fish, countless. And beings also that don't take a form that our eye consciousness can see, although some people do experience them, beings in other realms, also countless. We can just imagine that that is so. And it's helpful, I think, to think of two things about these beings. One is, throughout our beginningless lifetimes, they have been exceedingly kind to us. They may have been strangers, but so was the person who made the cushion you're sitting on, the microphone I'm speaking through, the road you drove here on, the car, the bus, your shoes. Strangers constantly giving to us. Even that's not their primary motivation, but they work in order to be kind to their families, and we benefit from that. So that's the first thing to remember, is how kind they are, how generous, how we benefit. And holding that in mind, then we see also how very much they suffer from not understanding how things work, not understanding birth, death, suffering, aging, sickness, suffering from ignorance, suffering from desire, suffering from aversion, all always running after something, thinking it possesses some kind of happiness, getting it, being terribly disappointed eventually, running after something else, or turning to aversion, hatred, anger. So, like them, also we suffer this way. So we make our motivation vast, 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 and include them all as we do our refuge and bodhicitta prayer.
Until the summit of enlightenment is reached, I and all beings go for refuge to the sources of true refuge. I will now practice the absorption of calm abiding in order to release all beings from their particular suffering and establish them in lasting peace and happiness. Until the summit of enlightenment is reached, I and all beings go for refuge to the sources of true refuge. I will now practice the absorption of calm abiding in order to release all beings from their particular suffering and establish them in lasting peace and happiness. Until the summit of enlightenment is reached, I and all beings go for refuge to the sources of true refuge. I will now practice the absorption of calm abiding in order to release all beings from their particular suffering and establish them in lasting peace and happiness.
So take a moment and check in with the mood of your body. Just noticing without judgment. One aid during Shamata is to visualize your teacher who taught you Shamata and make requests to that one. To assist you in this session. And then to know that that assistance is given happily, freely to you. And then we'll spend the next 2 bits of time first choosing an object of meditation, noticing whenever we're off that object and simply coming back to it. Again, with no judgment. So whatever arises, we meet it with awareness and with a kind of equanimity. Everything that arises, meet with equanimity and awareness.
By this virtue may I quickly realize Mahamudra and establish all beings without exception in this state.
Thank you all for those efforts. A couple announcements. Starting Tuesday evening and the next 5 Tuesday evenings, all through the 4 in April and 1 in May, Sally and Jeff Alworth will be leading a class on the care and feeding of your daily practice. Tuesday evenings, I think it's 7 to 9 or 7 to 8:30. It'll be quite wonderful. They're quite a good team. When they led the class on ethics last year, it got quite good reviews. So they plan to organize it somewhat the same, that every class there will be teachings and discussion and then homework to come discuss for the next class. So especially if your practice is lagging, you need some booster shot or whatever, that's the place to come. And you can register online. Lama Michael is going to teach a Saturday morning, is it just morning, Dora? Saturday morning in May on the first couple points of the 7-point mind training, which is ultimate and relative truth. So that should be quite interesting, and that's now posted on our website too, so you can sign up for that.
That's just one day, or?
One day,
Half a
just
day.
Saturday morning, like a few hours on it. That's all I know. The building, maybe you two can
The building?
catch us up. Our
Plan.
new center, yeah,
The building.
the building, the building's building.
We are, volunteers are wanted Tuesday and Wednesday
That's
in
what I heard.
particular.
Did that announcement go out
This,
We announced it this morning.
this morning? Okay,
but no written announcement has gone
okay.
Good.
out. You could maybe put that on
Mm-hmm.
the community list.
Yeah,
Is that all day or what? When
Well,
should
it's-
people come?
what it means is a dumpster's gonna be dropped off because we've now generated more debris. We're going to stop generating that much debris
Insane.
one of these days. But we've generated quite a bit of debris again, and I think we might generate a whole lot more on Monday and Tuesday. So
Still tearing
it'll
things
probably
up?
be, no one should arrive before 10,
Okay,
because we might not be ready for you by 10, until around 10. I mean, that's when they promised the dumpster would be there. It's usually there at 7:30, but they won't promise it until 10. So,
okay. This Monday and Tuesday. Tomorrow
Well-
and the next day.
correct, and the dumpster will come on Tuesday, not Monday.
Okay. Okay.
And then there's also a work party at SCOL on Saturday.
Didn't we just have one?
We
this
did just
Saturday?
have one, but
How
they're
many
trying
people
to.
came out?
8.
Oh, 8 people, that's great.
Yeah, it was really good. It was very nice. It's a beautiful time of year, though of course the weather can be up and down.
Mhm.
But they're doing work in the forest, brush cutting and burning. things like that, so it's pretty fun.
Yeah, that's fun work.
It is fun. If you've never been out there, try to go sometime. It's fun, it's gorgeous, you get to be on the other side of the 8-foot fence from the 3-year retreatants who just finished 2 years. They just finished 2 years. Well, April 4th, I think they went in
That's
technically.
Tuesday.
Yeah, yeah, that's the formal 2 years, Tuesday. I remember because we cooked for 13 hours that day. I don't know how we did that. We just totally lost track of time, but it worked. There was like 5 women in the kitchen who were in there for 13 hours. That was wonderful. One of those transported things where you don't know what happened, but you were there. So, okay, tea time. Come back with questions and answers. Come back with the answers. Come back with the answer about appearance and reality being simultaneous and concurrent.